All right, so students, today we're going to be learning about how to find a common denominator. Now, finding a common denominator means that we need to rename these fractions so that they have a denominator that's the same. When we get into adding fractions and subtracting fractions, we're going to find that you can't add fractions that don't have the same amount of pieces. You can't add fractions that have big pieces and small pieces together. We have to have all the pieces be the same size so that when we're putting it together or taking it apart, it's equal. All right, so what we're going to do is today we're going to practice, in our lesson today, they're having us find which one's greater, which one's less than by finding a common denominator. So we could probably picture this on a number line and figure out, okay, which one would be greater or less than. But the idea today is proving it by finding that common denominator. In the other movie that the guy showed you, if you watched that one, he found a common denominator by saying, okay, if I have 2/3 and here's my thirds and two of them are shaded, and here's my 3/4, and I could draw my picture of my 3/4, and this one's broken into 4 pieces with 3 of them shaded. All he's doing is showing you how, I can find a common denominator by since this is already cut into 3 pieces, I can cut it into 4 pieces the other direction and make how many pieces to be my denominator. So I could cut it this way and say, okay, how many pieces did I make now? Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, whoops. I was supposed to do that into 4 pieces. So it was cut in 3 pieces first. Now I just cut it into 4 pieces going the other direction. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 pieces. And how many of them are shaded? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of them are shaded. And now I can do the same thing over here. Because it's already split into fourths, now I can split it into thirds and split it into thirds this direction, and it's going to give me how many pieces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We just found a common denominator that both of them have. And how many were shaded over here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them were shaded. So now we can easily compare these fractions by saying, we have the same size of piece. We have twelfths. This one only has 8 of them. This one has 9 of them. 9 is the greater number. So I'm going to say 8 twelfths is less than 9 twelfths. Okay, so another way that you could find this is finding a common denominator is something that we call finding the least common multiple. So, actually, to back up, I want to kind of go over how that worked. So basically on this one, we cut it into 4 pieces going the other way. So we're going to times that by 4. And whatever we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom. So 3 times 4 is 12. And 2 times 4 is 8. And that's where we got our 8 twelfths. And so we did the same thing over here to find that common denominator. We already had it broken into fourths. We split it into 3 pieces the other direction. And whatever we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom. Or whatever we do to the bottom, we always have to do the top. And so 3 times 4 is 12, and 3 times 3 is 9. So that's how we found our 9 twelfths as our common denominator. We've changed that denominator to be the same number so that now we can do more with it. We can add it, we can subtract it, and we're working with the same size of piece of the denominator, with the denominator. Okay, so one more thing I was going to kind of show you. Some of you learned this little trick in one of our intervention groups. This is called finding the common denominator by finding the least common multiple. Okay, we learned about multiples a little while ago, and multiples are where we're counting by that same number. It's kind of like skip counting by that same number. So I'm going to draw a little mighty mountain multiple, and I'm going to erase this for a second, and you're going to see how this kind of pops back up in the same idea. But we're going to take our denominators that we're starting with. So we have 3 as our denominator here and 4 as our denominator here. And we're trying to find a denominator that both of them can multiply into equally, so that our denominator number works for both of them. So that when we go to times something by the top number and the bottom number, they're going to multiply and actually work. So here's how it's going to work. We're going to find the multiples of 3. So we're going to say, all right, well, 3, 6, 9, 12, and you can kind of decide how long you need to go. You might have to come back and add more if you can't find one. 3, 6, 9, 12, we're going to say, we're going to go to 15 and stop. Now we're going to find the multiples of 4 on our other side of our mountain, our multiple mountain. And we say 4, and we're skip counting, right? So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 16, 17, 20, yep, 20. All right, so we have our multiples. Now we got to see which one do we have that are common or the same. Well, do both of them have 3s? Nope. Do both of them have 6? Nope. Both of them have 9s? Nope. Both of them have 12s? Oh, both of them have a 12. So now I could say, all right, I know that I can make a common denominator or an equivalent fraction that would have a 12th. And I know that I have, for 4, there's going to be a common denominator that can divide equally or times equally into it and have 12. So now I'm going to think, okay, now we've practiced this before. 3 times something equals 12. Oh, let me think. 3, 6, 9, 12. Oh, 4 times. Well, let's see if that works out on the top. Because whatever I do to the top, I don't know what this fraction in the numerator is going to be. 2 times 4 equals 8. So I just found my 8/12ths in another way with using our multiple mountain. All right, now we can do the same thing to the other side. 4 times something equals 12. Let's see, 4, 8, 12. Oh, it goes 3 times. So 3 times 4, or 4 times 3 equals 12. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do the same thing to the top. So I've got to plug in that same number. 3 times 3 equals 9. So I'm going to make that 9/12ths. So now I can compare those really easily, that 8/12ths is less than 9/12ths. And that's how I can find a common denominator. So you could do it both ways. You can draw the picture and cut it into thirds and shade how many's there, and then cut it the other direction to find that multiple. Or you can do a least common multiple method and find what multiples would both divide into it, bring it up here, and times the top and the bottom by the same number. This one I had to times by 3 because I was working with 3s here. And this one I had to times by 4 because I was working with 4ths over here. Okay, so we'll talk more about this at our Zoom meeting. So if you have any questions, start working on your homework so that if you have a question, you can come and ask me. All right, see you later.